Hello everyone, happy Halloween. Well, it's not quite Halloween, but it will be in a day or two. It's the weekend and a lot of us are celebrating Halloween this weekend. Right, exciting, experimental. This could go disastrously wrong, but I am going to try and recreate a dish I had probably about 40 years ago called an Elizabethan pork casserole. I believe the recipe was by a lady called Elizabeth David. I've searched and searched, I can't find the recipe I had. It was wrote down for me by a friend on a scrap of paper. I lost it many years ago. So today I'm going to try and capture the essence of what I had. To do this, I've had to go through so many Elizabethan recipes to get something authentic. So it's been interesting. And you know, this is what I'm making is kind of a celebration casserole. In those times, definitely would have only been for the rich. So we're only using pork shoulder, which I think is just about in anybody's budget today. But in those times, us peasants wouldn't have been able to eat them at all. We would have been on rabbit, anything we could catch in the forest that wasn't actually belonging to the king. Different completely, the things we take for granted, like I take potatoes for granted. They weren't even around when this dish was prepared. Potatoes came in about 200 years later, or they were coming into the country, but only the rich were allowed them. They didn't become for the poor until a lot later on. So those things make you really think about your food. Anyway, I've got the biggest array of ingredients I think I've ever used, and because I'm going between 5 recipes, I'm going to have to be very careful. Now I am cooking it in the big cast iron and going in the oven, but I'm also going to cook a small portion of it in my Ninja 15 on pressure cooker to see if I can do this dish and make it as tasty and as delicious as I want it to be in there without having to put the big oven on for 3 hours. But I'm doing 3 pound of pork today because this is going to actually freeze. It's kind of between Christmas and New Year, or just before Christmas, when I have friends for supper, or friends staying, or family staying. I like to give them something a little bit special that isn't actually turkey or beef or Christmas. This dish is fruity, it's spicy, so it's very different, and it is quite rich, so you don't actually need a lot of it. So let's get to it. Okay, I put some oil in there. I haven't put a lot in. Good old cast iron is generating the heat all over. This was fabulous pork. This was actually bought from the butcher's, like they have a counter in Waitrose, which is a butchery counter. It's the fresh meats laid out. And I went and asked for some shoulder pork rolled, no bone in it. It has been fabulous, absolutely. It cost me £9, but I've got 3 pounds of pork here, so that's £3 a pound. I don't consider that bad. Look at that, it's beautiful. So that's just getting hot enough. I'm wanting to brown all of this, but I don't want to put too much in at once because I won't get the browning I want. And an interesting fact is that apparently in the Elizabethan times, the idea is that they used a lot of spices to actually mask the flavour of some of the meats that were actually starting to rot, because we live in the generation of fridges, freezers. They did have ice houses and things like that, but often the meat would be left hanging and it would be starting to rot before they ever cooked it. So their spices, and also that's the reason they cooked a lot of these type of things for a long time, making sure they weren't stupid, making sure that they cooked out any bacteria. But it's kind of interesting as well is that a historian had wrote that often the poor people had a better diet than those who were very rich, because the Elizabethans actually liked things really sweet, and they used a lot of fruits that have the natural sugars in for sweetening, and most of them had rotten teeth. Well, there was no dentistry as such. So I thought, well, that's quite strange. The poor people who lived off wheats, breads, flour, things like that, fish, cheese, onions that they grew, very simple food, anything they could catch. They literally had the better diet. So I thought they probably hated it, but they did. Right, okay, that's starting to brown already. Right, this is going to be a long process because I've got 3 pounds of it to do. So come back to me in about 10 minutes. I'll have it all browned and I'll take you on to the next stage. Right, okay guys, meat out. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in here. I'm about to add, I'll turn the heat down a touch. I'm going to add my leeks. Okay, that's one medium leek into there. This is the heart of a head of celery, so it's about 3 small sticks. Put all the leafy bits because they always believe there's more flavour in that, so do I. Then under here, a small bulb of fennel. These are all things that would be easily to access, well, for the comfortably off in the Elizabethan times. So I want all that to just start. Oh my word, the smell from that is lovely. A little bit more oil in there. And then I'm going to deglaze my pan in a minute. Just going to check if I need to put anything else. There's so many ingredients. I'm going to have to stay on my toes on this one. Oh, I nearly forgot. Right, purple onion they wouldn't have had, or red onion as such. It would have been white onion. But I'm using this for a bit of gentleness because there's a lot of spice about to go in. That's 1 huge clove of garlic. Okay, they did have garlic, and they very quickly cottoned on to how it was used for medicinal purposes as well, which, like I said, learning a bit of history I am, and it's quite interesting. It's very easy to take our food today very much for granted. Okay, give that a minute or two to sizzle away before there's 3/4 of a bottle of wine going to go into this. Like I say, it's a very rich dish. It's what I do call a party dish, a celebration dish, provided I can get it right. That's lovely. Right, okay, my wine is going to go in a second. And just deglaze. I'm not putting all of this in straight away because I just want to deglaze first. Just going to scrape up all that lovely meat juices off the bottom. That's it. That's all. When you say deglaze, I've just got all the meat crusty bits off the pan. That's all I wanted to achieve in that one. What I'm actually going to do next is throw the meat back in now, and all the juices that came off there. They would use flour as a thickener back in those times, not from a bag like this, but they did have flour. And I'm just going to use, I'm putting this in now because it'll stick to all the meat and do what I want it to do. Stir that in, and that's going to make sure our sauce comes out reasonably thick. God, it smells wicked already. 1 large carrot, 3 bay leaves. They used a lot of bay in those days. And under there is a large parsnip all chopped up. Now I'm going to start very carefully adding spices. I will add the sultanas. That's just 1 small handful. This is my own sage I picked last year. So sage in there. Cloves. Now, I wanted cloves that you put in your ham once you stick in, proper cloves, and would have fished them out afterwards. They didn't have any this morning, so I've had to go with ground clove, which means it's so intense, you've got to be so careful. So it's just the tiniest bit, otherwise your whole casserole is going to just taste of clove. So can you see that? Quarter, less than even a quarter, just the tiniest sprinkle. Thyme, again this is my thyme, although it's in the thyme thing, I just dehydrated my own thyme and used it up. Right, a bouquet garni bag. Right, this is a thing that they would have been able to pick wild. Juniper berries, absolutely love them. Yeah, they make gin. But juniper berries in a casserole, beautiful flavours. So that, I would say that's about 1 large teaspoonful of juniper berries. It's going to be down to flavour because I'm not working off a hard and fast recipe here. Right, and I'm putting a cinnamon stick in. Yeah, that was a large stick, okay. If you haven't got a large one, small one, you can back it up if you want to, with ground cinnamon, if you need, and ground ginger. They used a lot of ginger, from what I've read. I don't put too much of anything in, because I'm unsure how it's all going to pan out. Right, the only thing I haven't put in there at the moment that is to go in is the nutmeg. That I will do at a later stage, because that's very much a flavour that will be absorbed away anyway. So to get the nutmeg coming through, I'll put that in later. Okay, next job is going to be, this is the zest of one orange and also zest of a lemon. So that's all going in there. Just going to put a bit of chicken stock on that to get the rest of that in there. Oh my word, it smells amazing. Now I'm going to just turn that very low for a minute while I chop up. That's 2 small handfuls of dates, and these are like semi-dried apricots. These were coming into the country back then. They're from Persia, I believe, and they were treated as a delicacy, but they often used to stuff suckling pigs with these, but otherwise they would often go into, and this is, as I say, they liked their food spicy yet sweet, and not unlike a lot of Asian foods, to be honest. So they're going to be chopped, and they're all going in there in a minute. See you in a minute, guys. Chopped up dates, chopped up apricots, and that is a preserved lemon. I do love those, and they would have actually used those. They used their salt for a lot of preserving of citrus fruits and things. So that's going in there. Okay, and also that's going in there is 1 chopped eating apple. So that's a sweet apple with the skin left on. Now we're coming to the other business now. So that's all going in there. As you can see, it's really important that hopefully I've got the balance of sweet and meat right. This is honey. They used loads of honey in cooking. I'm not going to use the honey they were talking about, 3 or 4 tablespoonfuls. I may adjust it towards the end, but I would give it a good tablespoon. From the orange zest, we've now squeezed the orange, and in there's the juice of 1 orange and the juice of 1 lemon. So you're getting some acid balance going in there, but again sweet. Now the wine, let's turn the heat up. So you're left with about 1/4 of a bottle. That bit's for me. Right, let's get this mixed round. Now there's no salt gone in there, so it will need to be seasoned. But I'm going to kind of wait and see what happens to it. Right, and the last but not least is a Knorr stock cube. They won't have had stock cubes, so they will have had amazing stocks, because they will have used all the bones to make up their own stocks, far better than anything we've got. But today it's just a Knorr stock cube. I'm going to hang back on a little bit of that, because I'm going to need that for the pressure cooker, because some of this is going to come out of here and go straight into the pressure cooker. Just a shaving of nutmeg, and I may add some more later. They actually used a lot of nutmeg in their cooking, because their egg tarts and things are always topped with a thick layer of nutmeg, pretty much as we still do that today. It smells divine. So before that goes in the oven, I'm going to let it come to heat. What I'm going to do now, I'll be back in a minute, I'm just going to prep up my pressure cooker and take a couple of spoonfuls out and see what I get by doing it on a quick pressure, whether it works or not. Okay? Right, okay guys, this is my Ninja. I've just got a small portion. I'm going to put the rest of that chicken stock in, because when you're pressure cooking, you must have enough liquid in there. Right, so that is ready. It's going to go into the oven. I'm going to put a cartouche on it, because now I've taken that out, it's gone down quite a bit, and I don't want this just evaporating away cooking. The cartouche kind of almost, it's parchment paper. I'm going to wet it, scrunch it up, put it over there and put the lid on top, and it gives it like, it makes it kind of steam while it's in the oven. Then I'll take the cartouche off probably about 30 minutes before it's finished cooking, so that then we can have a natural evaporation and things will thicken up and hopefully go wonderfully. Okay, so I'm going to pop this in now. I'm just wondering if I need to put a little more liquid in there. Just another couple of, 3-4 ounces, fluid ounces of water just in there, just to make sure I don't want this burning. Yeah, there we go, that looks enough. Right, okay, that's going in there. Right, okay, that's gone into there. Now when that's cooked, that's when I'll actually taste and season it and do any adjustments that I've got to make on it. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid down on that one, and I will set that, take that slider over to get my steam. Natural release, I'll go for a quick release, I think. Quick release. Right, okay, I want everything well cooked in there. So let's go 40 minutes. That's away. Okay guys, with this one I'm going to make a little cartouche, which I was talking about. Baking parchment. Give me a moment, I'll stick it under the tap and get it wet. Okay, so that's wet. That is going to go on the top of there. Right, okay, that's going off. John is going to kindly lift that down because my back is still quite bad. So I'm not going to chance lifting this beast of casserole. And that's going to go in for, I think I'm going to give that close to 3 hours. Around about 2 hours, I'll stop it, have a look at it, give it a stir. I'll probably taste it then and try and work out if there's any adjustments it needs. Okay, so let's say see you in 3 hours, and keep your fingers crossed for me that I've actually got a super delicious dish I can eat. By the way, John thinks no one's going to bother cooking this because there's far too many ingredients, and I must be totally honest, I don't normally do anything with this many ingredients. I find it a real pain, but this is a very special dish. It was special to me all those years ago when I had it, and I think Christmas time, when you've got friends round, it's nice to give them something really different with a little bit of history behind it. We will be having this probably just with bread. Other people will have it with rice. We may even have it with rice. Definitely in the Elizabethan time they won't have had it with rice. Rice came along after this period. And it probably won't have been with potatoes then either, but it will have been with their breads. Okay guys, I'll get it in the oven and see you in 3 hours. Bye for now. Pressure cooker's finished. I'd given it 40 minutes. Oh my god, the meat is just, I can't describe how tender it is. I don't know if John wanders over here, maybe I can show you on camera how it just breaks with a spoon. It's just absolutely beautiful. Now the sauce is thin at the moment, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on saute, thicken it down a little bit. This little bit of stew is going to be John's lunch tomorrow. The sauce with this has more fluid in than what's cooking in the oven now, because I added that little bit of extra water. It's actually superb. It's sweet, it's sticky, it's meaty. It's kind of a bit like a sweet and sour in a way. It's difficult to quantify. The spices come through, but they're just right. There's a good balance there. I'm really proud of that. So what I'm going to do is reduce the stock in there, and then put it in Chinese takeaway box for John's lunch tomorrow at work. He's in the office tomorrow. But what I would say is, you could, looking at that, you could do the whole thing in a pressure cooker. Definitely could do it in a slow cooker. And if you were doing the whole thing, you wouldn't need to add that extra fluid, I don't think. Just be aware you need fluid in pressure cookers. So, but that has worked so well. So now I can't wait a couple of hours. I'll then give you the verdict on the big dish in there, which we're actually having part of that for supper tonight. The rest is freezing for when my brother comes down. As I say, it's quite special. So, okay, see you soon. Right guys, this has come out, and oh my god, it's amazing. Right, okay. Now what I'm going to do is, and what they would have done in in Elizabethan times is they were big fans of almonds, and they would have toasted them up, and I'm just putting a few toasted almonds on the top like that, and that all that does is brings that other element of texture to it. Oh, hang on, spoon. We've got to test this, haven't we? We've tested now this. Maybe my cameraman can come here and get a comparison on how these look. This is John's lunch tomorrow. There is more stock there. This is thicker. Although I don't know, I think it's pretty close. But that is the pressure cooked version there, which had a bit more chicken stock in. Absolutely gorgeous. John and I caught me out there, guys. There's cameras everywhere now, you know. John and I tried the pressure cooker one, and it came out, meat is beautiful, and the flavours fantastic. So let's give this a try. The meat's just, I've got a teaspoon, the meat's just breaking up on the teaspoon. It's so lovely. Right, okay. Now that's quite interesting, because this out in here is actually a lot sweeter. The texture of the fruit is much, there's definitely more fruitiness here. I'll let John try it.
You can remember you added water to the other one.
Yeah, I mean the difference there is that the pressure cooker one, I don't think the flavours, it's absolutely fabulous, and say to anyone, you don't want to put your oven on for 3 hours. Well, it was 2.5, I turned it off because I looked at it and thought that meat's cooked, turned it off. 2.5 hours. Don't want your oven on, put it in the pressure cooker. And I would say that is beautiful, but what you do lose a little bit is the intensity of flavour that I've got here. I can literally taste the apricots and they weren't figs, what were the prunes? Dates, rather, sorry. This is like, feels actually very almost Moroccan without the chili, because you've got the real intense meaty flavours. Beautiful, beautiful meat. I'm hoping you guys can see this. I've got to let John have a taste of this because it's just too good. We are going to have it for tea anyway, guys, but try that. Well, would you say there's a better, either version is better? He went, just knows he loves it. I definitely think that is sweeter. There's more intensity of flavour. That's the proof of the pudding is the 2.5 hours. Would I do it in the pressure cooker again? Yes, like a shot, because 40 minutes, that is done. And the only difference is there's a little bit more chicken stock went into that one. So this is a fabulous, and it does feel very special. It's very different because of the fruitiness, the meatiness. It looks a really wholesome dish, and then you pick it up and you get all this fruit coming through, and yet the meat sits so beautifully in there, and the juniper berries. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So that's what we're going to have for tea tonight. It's a lot of ingredients. At the moment I'm writing out the method, but if you want something really special, then I would say give it a shot. Slow cooker, cast iron or casserole dish, or pressure cooker, and it'll freeze really well. This what's left in there will be frozen till December, okay, and it'll be absolutely fabulous. Some people say that these dishes improve even with freezing. So there you go. Thanks for watching. I've got some people are asking me, have I given up on my little ninja? I use it loads, folks, but I've got some little feta dishes I'm going to be doing in there shortly, so that's what's coming. Again, with a mind for Christmas hors d'oeuvres and passing around, you know, when people come and visit. I've got lots of things ticking on in there, believe it or not. Okay, thanks for watching. Mwah. See you soon. Bye for now.